The value of stocks on the market typically fluctuates over the course of a day. Now, suppose a particularly volatile stock's daily value can be modeled by this terrible function where H represents the hours after the stock market opens for early trading. The stock market is open for 9 hours, so the domain is that. That's going to be helpful because we're going to have to throw this into a calculator. Approximately how many hours after opening does the stock reach its lowest value? So I don't know what this guy looks like. It's a quintic. So at some point, I'm expecting this to happen between 0 and 9. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to throw that in my calculator and find out what that minimum value is and what it represents to in this real world problem over here. All right, so we have this terrible equation to plug in. So, we're just going to plug it in and make sure that instead of h, we use x and just go from there. So x to the 5th minus 20x to the 4th. Move to the right. Plus 146x to the 3rd. 1, 4, 6. X to the 3rd minus 484x squared. Probably should have typed this in ahead of time. That's all right. The more time that I have on screen, the more money I make. Sweet YouTube money. Plus 717x. It's the Lancaster area code. And then last but not least, we get 15. All right, it gives us a domain of 0 and 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my window, and I'm going to choose my window. Instead of using 0 and 9, I'll give it some wiggle room, -1, and I'll leave that at 10. So let's hit graph and see what we have. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Now here's why it's absolutely terrible. These numbers are huge. So let me set my window. I have a couple 700s. Let me actually look at my, I was hoping that if I look at my answers, it would give me a good idea as to what numbers that I have that are super big. Why don't I hit zoom out and just keep hitting zoom out until I see things either bottom out and that's what I want to see. I want to see it bottom out because it asks that question. It wants it to reach its lowest value of the day. So I need to see the bottoming out. Don't see that. So zoom out again. Zoom 3, enter. I don't see much there. Zoom 3, enter. Ugh. Zoom 3, enter. Yeah, this just ain't good. What if I set my window now that I know what I know? Let's set that window back to 0, or better yet, -1 and 10. Maybe that gets me a much better picture. Let's see, graph. Look at that. So sometimes you just have to play around with the calculator a little bit. It looks like whatever this number is, give or take, is going to be my minimum. So I'm going to hit second. And just because I need to find the minimum between 0 and 9, let's do the minimum between 0 and 9. So let's go all the way over to 0, all the way over to 0. Or is it? Yeah, 0 and 9. So I'm going to go to 0. Perfect. Enter. I'm going to go all the way to the right side to 9. I probably didn't need to zoom out to do this, but at least I got a nice looking picture. Boom. And my minimum, which I thought maybe would be at 0, is actually not at 0 at all. My minimum is at the X value of 7.11. So approximately how many hours after opening does this stock reach its lowest value of the day? 7.11, 711, is much closer to 7 than it is to 8. So we are going to say that C is the answer we're going with for this guy right here. So after doing all of that, the lowest value was 7-point-ish. So we said that's close enough to 7. So, tricky problem. The biggest mistakes that are made is just typos. You just have to be careful.